Hi, my name's Kaz. Welcome to my mind and body class this morning. I'm here at Christ Church University and we work alongside our parks. We give you 5 classes a week. I'll let you know about those at the end. We're going to do yin yoga today. So my mind and body classes change all the time. And this is going to be a nice, chilled, peaceful flexibility style of class. So you don't need any shoes or socks. You just need a mat or a nice, comfortable rug. That's all really. So we're going to start with some nice Tai Chi. So that's a bit of like a nice bit of peace. We're going to find our energy. And then we're going to crack on with still moves. But these moves will lengthen and strengthen our muscles. Yeah, so we should all feel really nice and loose afterwards. So come into just a nice hip distance stance. So the best way to find your hip distance when it comes to standing is put your feet completely together. Then you turn your toes out. Then you turn your heels out. And your feet will be somewhere underneath your hips, I can assure you. So this is a really nice place to stand. We're going to do really like a little shallow squat by staying in. So if you just want to sit down, just bend your knees. So it's almost like our chair pose in yoga. So we want to try and keep a nice straight back. So keep your eye gaze forward. And we're just going to sit here just for a few breaths, feeling those legs get nice and warm. So we're engaging. So feel your thighs. Do they feel tight and engaged and hard and working? If they do, excellent. Then you are working. So we're going to have our little Tai Chi ball. Yeah, it's our energy. We've got to visualize in Tai Chi. Just try and think about it. So imagine all the energy in your hands. So try and feel nice, warm hands. Yes, your thighs are starting to get warm now because we've stood here for a while now. Hopefully we've stayed in that position. It is going to mean we're going to release that energy in just a second. So feel it all warm down here. Hold your tummy in tight. Feel it all warm. And we're going to lift it up. Straighten your legs and lift it up. Palms out and just take them to the side. So come back down to that nice shallow squat. It's really nice and warm. We've got to feel the energy here. Your lower chakras, yeah, so we're going to open them out, are really good to clear them so that we can work through. If you've got things like arthritis, stiff joints, this area is the chakra that we want to release. So it's a really good way to do that with all the energy. So you lift it up, come straighten up your legs, don't lock them out. Open nice and wide. And bring it back here. Keep everything nice and warm. Imagine if you've got a nice warm energy in between your hands, all here, your tummy's in tight, all of that muscle energy should be nice and warm. Lift up and open. We're going to take our stance out a little bit wider so we can get a little bit lower. So as wide as you can go, yeah, if that's not very wide, that's fine. But we're going to try and do some nice deeper squats now. So we're feeling all the energy. It's going to come down. So we push down nice and deep, and we lift up. As we lift up, we take it over and we shower ourselves with all the energy, taking our palms out. Come back and find it nice and deep and wide. Lift up. Palms out, you shower yourself with all the energy you've drawn from your nice energy that we stored earlier. It's here now, yeah? It's here. We lift up and we open. Come down nice and wide. If we can get even lower now, yeah? By engaging the muscles at the beginning, we stood in that position for quite a while. They feel warm. They feel nice and ready to go. So these nice wide squats are a lot more doable now. We're opening our hips here as well because we've got nice wide stance. Lift up. One more time, a big, deep inhalation. Get right down nice and low. Lift up and shower yourself with all that energy. So we've got to visualize. So we're going to come back into that nice squat and we're going to start feeling it all around us as well. So we've got our energy ball. We push it away. As we push away, we're shifting our weight over and we draw it over to the other side. So we're not coming up. We are literally shifting from one side to the other. Reach all the way out and bring it all the way back. Shift your weight rather than come up and down. So again, all of the energy we're building up in our thighs, we will release up in just a second. I want you to feel the energy that you've created in those thighs by staying down nice and low. So if you struggle with visualization, yeah, you should be able to feel the warmth in your thighs. All the way across. Come back to that nice wide stance. Find all the energy, all the warmth we've built up, lift it up. We straighten our legs, we don't lock them out, and we shower ourselves with all that energy. So even if you can't visualize, when we straighten, you've released it and you open. Lift up and open. Come down nice and deep. Nice and deep. We're really opening those hips, which is the key to one of our moves later. Lift up. So if you've just joined, we're going to do some nice yin yoga today, which are poses that we would hold, lift up. Lift up, bring your hands to your prayer position. Sink really nice down and deep. You're going to just walk your feet in just a little bit, and we're going to come down to our Hindi squat. So this is going to be our first yin yoga pose. So yin yoga, if you've never practiced it before, it's a specialized yoga. You hold the poses between sort of 3 minutes. We're not going to do it any longer than 3 minutes. So we might do sort of this one maybe for 2 minutes. So you need to try and get comfortable. At any point, come out of these poses. This is a nice hip opener. This one probably isn't the best for blokes because they do struggle to open their hips if they're not very flexible. We have childbearing hips, so ours are always going to be slightly wider, even if we didn't realize how flexible we were. So we want to use our elbows to push our thighs out as much as we can. We've already been sat here for about 45 seconds, so it should already feel nice and warm. We opened our hips already doing all those nice squats and staying nice and low. So we were loose, hopefully. We want to be sitting on the flat of our feet, if you can. Try to avoid the toes, because you want to make sure that you're pushing through the balls of your feet so that you can just focus on opening your hips. If you are up on your toes, you also have to think about balance, and you bring your legs in closer as well. So we want to try and get right onto the heels. And if you can't do it by yourself, use a block or a cushion and just put them underneath your heels. So we're nearly finished here. This is a really nice hip opener. This is a little bit of work, yeah? Yin poses aren't necessarily feeling really comfy. They lengthen and strengthen. So they give you time for reflection as well, thinking about our yogic breath, as it's primarily yoga today rather than any Pilates. It's yogic breath. We breathe right down into our abdomen. Palms flat on the floor. Bring your legs together and sit in your nice kneeling cow pose. So we're in our horse stance to start with. If you just want to set yourself up, we're going to come into our cow pose. So we're going to bring our shoulders over our wrists, knees underneath our hips, and our cow pose, we push our belly to the floor. We're squeezing our scapula. We squeeze the shoulder blades together. We lift our bottoms high and we lift our eye gaze forward. So this is a really nice back extension. Any little back bend is a great back extension. Yeah, if you can lift your butt as high as you possibly can. But if that is not comfortable, then you come back to your horse stance. Do a little cat pose every now and then. But these yin yoga poses are trying to be held. So if you can just hold it for as long as you possibly can, thinking about not just dipping your belly down, but actually squeezing your shoulder blades together, the whole scapula at the top of your back, actually squeeze. So this is like a rhomboid push-up. Once you came out of it, you would curl over and then you would sink even deeper. So if we were doing a cat and a cow pose, we're just holding our cow pose for now. Squeeze it all together. pushing that belly right to the floor. So if this is slightly more comfortable than that last one, you can not think about all that aches and pains. Now we can think about our breathing, bit of reflection as well when we're in these poses for a while and not having to think about anything else. So this back extension is a really, really nice one. If it's getting too much in your neck, you can always take your eye gaze down. Yeah, make sure these poses aren't painful. Yes, a little bit tingly every now and then, but not painful. So our cow pose primarily is our eye gaze forward. But like I said, our spine is not meant to stay bent like that. So we can bring our eye gaze down to try to create a nice line, at least from the top of the neck to like your mid-thoracic area of the back. Obviously, we're lowering, that lower back's really nice and bent. Pushing through the balls of your hands. Actually feel those, the flat of your hand on the floor rather than sort of leaning into your fingertips. You're pushing through your feet, your knees, sorry. So there's not really much weight on the feet. If your knees hurt, you can always come back into a child's pose, grab something to put underneath your knees. This is the only knee pose we're going to do anyway, but we're nearly here. We're going to do a really nice counter pose for this now. So I just want you to sit back into your child's pose. As you sit back with a nice cat pose. So you lift your back high, tuck your head down so your chin's on your chest, and we slowly sit back. Leave your hands where they are. We're going to do an extended child's pose. You bring your head to the mat. So if this is not for you and you can't get your heels anywhere near your bottom, tuck something underneath the cushion, or one potato, two potatoes. So if your extended child's pose means you're here, which is another pose altogether, I want you to come back as far as you possibly can. Pop your fists on top of each other and just rest your head on your fists. And as you can see from the line, if you can see me, rather than my bottom goes right to my feet. But if it doesn't and your position is here, you can use the one potato, two potato position to try and keep your spine slightly more in line, or tuck something underneath your bottom. Otherwise, we're in an extended child's pose. So we reach our hands forward, we rest our head on the mat. So our child's pose is great. It is what it says on the tin. It's a resting pose as well. So we're going to do a couple of sort of toughy ones, and then we're going to come into some nice resting poses, which this is. It's also really, really, it does close off your breathing. So you really have to work on pushing your abdomen out because it's all sort of hunched up. Yes, we've got our lungs, they're all tucked underneath as well. We want to make them as big as we possibly can. So we really have to make sure when we breathe in, we are pushing our belly out as far as we can to get in as much air as we possibly can. And then you exhale. Think about the type of breathing that you're doing as well. Are you a mouth breather? Yeah, obviously yoga is sort of promotes nasal breathing, but sometimes that's not always possible. You might have issues and problems that you can't breathe through your nose. And if you don't, and you don't normally do that anyway, the benefit to nasal breathing is that there's tiny little hairs in the nose that catch all the rubbish that comes in with the air, and rather than take it down to our chest like it would do if we were mouth breathing, it stores it up and then obviously you blow it out, etc., etc. So try to practice your nasal breathing when we're in these positions. Breathing in through your nose and out through your nose. You might feel that you're not getting in enough air, and that's where you need to extend your abdomen. You push your belly out and release. So these poses just give you that bit of time to really focus on stuff. This might be your only couple of minutes of real peace and quiet this morning. So really appreciate that as well. Okay, we're going to draw ourselves up, ready to move into a little bit more if we can. So we're going to do a nice kneeling pose. So if you can, have your feet out and sit on your bottom so that you're not on your actual heels. So if you can see from behind. So always remember, I am very flexible and that's just my body makeup. So this is quite easy for me, but it's not always easy for everybody. Otherwise, sit on your heels. That's fine. Or pop yourself, taking your legs out just a little bit wider, prop yourself onto a block if you can. So this one's really good for our adductors and our abductors. Yeah, so stretching at the thigh muscles and those quads. Have your hands to just the side of your feet. So remember your options. Yeah, you can sit on a block. Try to sit on your bottom if you are flexible. This is a knee joint sort of stretchy thing as well. Yeah, so like I say, if you've got any conditions where stuff starts to hurt, just come into a child's pose or straighten out your legs. This one, you're going to be like, oh, I want to straighten my legs out. So just quickly sit on your bottom and straighten your legs out. We don't want to feel pain. We want to always channel our mountain pose when we're seated in all these sorts of positions, which is why we did our 1 potato, 2 potato, trying to keep our spine nice and straight. And exactly like while we're sitting here, we have our chest and our eye gaze forward. We have naturally relaxed shoulders. And when I say naturally, I mean, don't hold them down, just relax. You do a nice shoulder roll. We can close our eyes as well. That sometimes helps maybe focus the mind. But if that doesn't help you, and suddenly when it's all dark and you've closed your mind, you're thinking more about other stuff, then open your eyes and just stare off into the distance. Now this one does close your circulation off to your feet. So wriggle your toes every now and then. Make sure the bloodstream is still getting to them. Yeah, it's not like it's going to stop completely and we're going to get gangrene. It just makes sure that you give it a little wiggle every now and then. So this is a really nice chest opener as well. So we can really focus on our breath here. Keep trying to channel that pose, your mountain pose, like for your top half of your body. Sometimes when we sort of sit and contemplate and relax, we can start doing this a bit. So we start to bring our head down and we bring our hunch and our shoulders over. These are yoga poses, so we want to think about our posture constantly. Do a nice inhale here and bring your right foot into your groin. Then take your other leg all the way behind. We're going to do our sleeping swan, yeah, or some pigeon pose. It's got lots of different names. Yin yoga, quite a lot of the poses have completely different names altogether. So this is a glute stretch. I'm going to show you from this side as well. So we want to have our foot into our groin. If you do the pigeon pose, you do yoga already, you know that you can always stick your leg right out, almost into a right angle. But it's just for comfort for now. Bring it in, and then you take your other leg all the way to the back. So you should just have the top of your foot on the floor, your kneecap, and a tiny little bit of the top of the thigh. We're actually sitting on our front leg. So we shouldn't have our bottom on the floor. We shouldn't be leaning to the side. Use your palms to help steady you, to help keep the balance. We should feel this in our glute muscle, in our bottom. We're going to do it on both sides. So if you have got the flexibility and you do yoga a lot, this isn't a new pose to you. So you can take that foot out at the front a little bit more, but we're not leaning over. We're constantly trying to roll over so that our hips are parallel. And if you want to intense this stretch a little bit more, lean forward into our sleeping swan. You can walk your hands forward or just stay here, making sure that we're not leaning to one side on our bottom. We want to be sitting on top, hips are nice and parallel. So this is that bit of work with this one. Again, make sure you wriggle your toes. And over to the other side. So we don't hold this one just as long. So we're going to do both sides. This side, you might be slightly more flexible. Yeah. This one at the back, because that's just been curled up for quite a while. It's quite nice to give that a nice stretch now. Again, making sure that we're sitting on top rather than leaning to a side. We bring our chest down to the floor. Head down to the floor, arms out in front. We'll keep those arms here for stability if you want to, if you need to. And remember, always come back into a pose that's comfortable if you need to. I don't want you to get stuck in a position because I can't help you. Wriggling those toes, just to get that blood circulation going. Remember where your toes are. Practicing our nasal breathing when we're locked off, when we're shut off like this. It is tougher, but that's where we start to breathe right down to the abdomen to push our belly away. So the diaphragm's got more room to go to make the lungs bigger. Our chest is a powerful thing. It will open if you use your body properly. Slowly unravel out of that. Slowly, slowly. And we're going to sit in a really nice butterfly position. So lie back down into your Shavasana, our corpse pose. Just a nice lying down. You're going to bring your heels to your bottom. So take your feet, the flat of your feet together and try to bring them into your bottom. Yeah. So some of you that aren't very flexible or sore hip joints, this might be the level that you go to. If you have got cushions or yoga blocks or anything like that, you can always prop them underneath as well. But if we can, heels right in, open as wide as you can, arms above your head and grab your elbows. So we can really nice opening rather than that closed off position that we were just in. So we can really focus on pushing the belly out. If you start to feel like things are getting a bit stiff, give yourself a little bit of a limber. So just bring your legs up slightly. See if they go down even wider now. Yeah, like I said, yin yoga is about lengthening and strengthening. So muscle atrophy as we get older. Yeah, I mean, I know I've got some youngsters that follow too, but it's still a thing, muscle atrophy. It just basically means all the good muscle does sadly weaken as we get older. And the collagen that we've already got inside us starts to stiffen. And obviously, collagen's great to make your face look plump and your skin look tight. But when it's in the muscles and it's taking over the good muscle, it gets very stiff. So we want to make sure by lengthening and strengthening the muscle, we're keeping ourselves mobile. Bring your feet to the mat so that you've got your knees facing the ceiling. Take your arms out to the side, nice and wide. We're going to do a cattail. So it's similar to a normal spinal twist, but you take your bottom leg round the back. So you're just going to drop your legs over to one side. Drop your legs over to one side. Then I want you to take that bottom leg and try to take it behind you. So I'm going to show you from here as well. So you drop your legs to the side and you're pushing that back leg underneath. So we're going to grab on here and we're going to hold onto our knee as well. So a normal spinal twist, we would normally just have our knees stacked on top of each other. But this one, we want to try and bring that other leg around the back as well. It's a really nice hip flexor stretch. So we want to try and make sure that our shoulders are on the floor. Can you feel a little bit of a breeze underneath your shoulder blade? If you can, try to take your shoulders back onto the floor. So that might mean that you just need to bring that top leg over a little bit more maybe, or bring the bottom leg just underneath slightly. So it's only a light hold onto that back foot. Touch on the knee. You're not putting any pressure on it. Keep your eye gaze up, or you can take it to the other side of that top leg. We're going to swap it over one more time. Last pose onto the other side. I didn't realize the time. I'm really sorry if you've got to go. Hopefully you don't. Other side, grab onto that leg at the bottom and on the top. So this is a really nice spinal rotation as well. Keeping those shoulders on the floor and our chest is facing the other way. You can see that you're rotating that spine. Draw your legs in front of you, nice and long, and do a really nice stretch. Shavasana, take your arms above your head, reach away. Imagine as if someone is pulling you apart. On your next inhale, really nice deep breath. Grab your knees, hug them into your chest. And you're just going to roll up nice and slowly. And just sit in a comfortable position. Nice stretch along the side of the body, lifting up our hands in our prayer position. Reach nice and high. Bring your hands down to your heart center. Namaste. Thanks very much, guys. Don't forget our YouTube channel and all our other classes. I hope you enjoyed that.